This is the Farmington Feed, bringing you information from the city of Farmington.
Hi, and welcome back to the Farmington Feed. I'm Corinne Hodgnicki, the city's communications specialist, and I'm hungry for another episode of the feed. I'm here today with two of our recreation staff members, Missie Colbeck and Jeremy Peer. Missie has been with the Recreation Department for 28 years and is a resident of Farmington. Jeremy is the Parks and Facilities Supervisor, and he's been with the Recreation Department for 17 years and is also a resident. They're here to talk a little bit about Parks and Recreation Month and discuss the upcoming events they have planned for the rest of the summer. I may be a little biased, but this is my favorite department. I worked in Parks and Rec for about 10 years in Michigan, and including an ice arena and a community center. Now I'm on the other side of the table as a user of the park system and recreation programs. So I want to hear your input from your side of the table. Missie, how about you first? This year's theme is Parks and Recreation Month, how our community grows. How do you think the department helps Farmington grow?
The department helps create community with all of our fun community events. When you get to know each other and you're friends with your neighbors and other people in the community, you tell others how fun it is to live in Farmington, and that does help your community grow.
So Missie, 28 years in recreation, I'm sure it hasn't been in the same role or position the entire time. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I started at the Rambling River Center, which was called at that time the Farmington Area Community Senior Center, which is a really long name, and I was just part-time. So I started with the seniors. A few years into working, they were doing a recreation position that was going to be full-time, and they asked me if I wanted to split between the seniors and rec, and then the other part of the recreation position grew into a second recreation supervisor position. So the second recreation supervisor, the first one, would be Emilee Shear in that position now, and I pick up the youth and family and kept the seniors. Kellee Omelette, who's now our Park and Recreation Director, was a recreation supervisor here in the past. And when she left here the first time, hopefully the only time, I came over and did the rec supervisor position that worked with sports. And I was there about 4 years. And when the senior center position opened up again, I asked to go back. They're just lateral moves. But I realized then that I really enjoyed the senior population, and that's really where my heart is here in Farmington.
Yeah, it takes a special person working with the seniors. They can be very exciting and demanding at the same time.
They're very fun. I like working there.
Yeah. Jeremy, how did you get involved in recreation?
I took a class in high school, lifeguarding, early bird.
Lifeguarding,
That's where I started. I worked at the aquatic center in my hometown that summer. Ended up working my way up to being the pool supervisor. I worked warming houses in the winter. My supervisor one summer at the pool was a recreation management person down in La Crosse that just graduated. I was going to school in La Crosse, looked up the program, and that's kind of how I got into recreation. Started out in Hastings. I worked there for 5 years at their pool and outdoor and indoor rink in the winter.
Okay, so you did a little bit of ice arena then too.
Yep. That's where I started in the ice arena, was working for Hastings.
So which one did you like better, lifeguarding or the ice arena?
I would say they're definitely different. That's one thing I liked about them, was being in different, every 6 months I basically had a different job. The ice arena is fun. It's a great atmosphere. Working nights towards the end of March got to be a little old. Swimming pool in the summer was great. I was early 20s at that point, working with the youth and the lifeguards and stuff. I always enjoyed working with the staff that age.
It's just an interesting combination because they are so different.
Right, yep.
Did you ever have to save anybody in a pool?
Once.
Kid
was dared by his buddies to jump off the diving board, couldn't swim, so I jumped in and grabbed him, but that was the only time.
That's good that was the only time, right?
Right. It seems like some lifeguards, some of them will have a couple saves this summer, and some people can go years without making a save.
Yeah, that's one thing I would not want to do. Well, let's move on. What is some of your favorites? So favorite program, favorite event, favorite memory. Missie, you want to take first?
Well, I'm glad you asked about some favorites because I have a lot of favorites. I wouldn't want to pick just one. I really do enjoy Kiss the Pig. It's really fun to put on and make people do some silly things that they wouldn't normally do. I really like the spring breakfast with the bunnies for the families. That is also really fun, and just to see all the little kids excited. At the senior center, a few years ago, we started going on an annual kayaking trip, and that's my favorite trip ever. Screensaver on my work phone is a picture of a woman who went with us at 89 years old kayaking.
Awesome.
She was fantastic.
Was it her first time?
First time kayaking. She had gone canoeing lots when she was younger, and she did fabulous. She didn't come back when she was 90, and now she's 91, and she's not going this year because she said getting out of the kayak when it's flat was just too hard on her joints, which I get. But that was by far my favorite senior trip. I also love planning the much at lunch parties. I don't know, sometime you'll have to come over and join us when we have like a Neil Diamond impersonator or a Frank Sinatra impersonator. This year we had a blast with Neil Diamond and Elvis. There's a lot of dancing and people cheering and
So it's like
getting into
lunch,
it.
but then with some entertainment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, those are really fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun. I'll have to check it out. I don't know
Yeah.
how I feel about Elvis, but maybe Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy?
But mostly on the maintenance end with Parks Department and the ice arena. Recreation wise, I guess I would have to go back to the pool that I worked at in my hometown. I met my wife there, so I'd have to say that's
Aw, that's
probably
a
my
sweet story.
favorite memory.
So if she hears this, then
So
she'll
she
know.
hears it, yes.
Was she also a lifeguard?
She was, yep.
Oh, okay. So then you got to work together.
Yep.
That's
Worked together for a summer and then dated for a couple of years. So.
Yeah, that's sweet. Tell me about the funniest thing that's ever happened while working. I mean, it could happen anywhere.
Well, the funniest and saddest thing that ever happened was we were in the middle of Kiss the Pig and the pig died in
my
the trailer.
gosh.
So I'm up on stage talking to each one of the contestants and we're talking about it and the pig's just about to come out and we're about to announce who won. And he comes to the side of the stage and goes, "Psst, I need to talk to you.
Oh my gosh.
Psst, I need you to come here right now." So I get off the stage and I'm like, "Oh, we need to take a 5-minute break. The pig needs a break." And I walk around there and he's like, "The pig died of heat stroke in the trailer because it was so hot." So, all these little kids are there and you don't want to tell them the pig died. So I'm like, "Oh, it's too hot. The pig needs a rest. Let's kiss the puppy." Somebody had a puppy in their truck with them. And they were like pulled up outside watching. The stage at that time was in the middle of the street. They were like behind the stage. I'm like, "Can we use your puppy?" So
Oh my gosh. Great improvisation there.
someone kissed a puppy.
Instead of the pig.
So it's funny and sad,
sad.
but it was one of those, thank God we made it through it.
Yeah, that's crazy. How about let's get a little more serious. Who has inspired you most in your career? Jeremy.
I would say this one's easy for me. When I worked at the rink in Hastings, Sliver McGree was my boss. Did a write-up for the Minnesota Ice Arena Managers Association. They do a rink spotlight once in a while. They asked for a write-up about it and gave them some information on him. But I was supervisor in Hastings, learned a lot from work, family, just to be a good person. He was a great guy and learned a lot from him.
What about you, Missie?
I went into Park and Rec because I worked for community ed back when I was a teenager. I'm from Cannon Falls originally, and they don't have Park and Rec there. All their programming is through community ed. And the director at that time's name was Joan Kadadik, and I applied for the job at 15 and applied for the job at 16. And she was so nice and kind and told me kind of like why I didn't get it and what I needed to do.
Oh, that is really nice.
Because it was kind of like a boss job of the summer. Like you were in charge of the other staff, and 15, I was too young. But I finally got the job and she kept me on and just gave me everything to do from, the little kid program at the park to field trips to keeping the basketball scoreboard in the winter to working the warming houses. So she really gave me my first. Yes, she's passed on quite some time ago, but she just really was very kind to me. And when I went to college, I said, I want to work in community ed. And they're like, you have to have a master's for community ed, so you really want to work in Park and Rec.
Really?
So that's how I came to be Park and Rec.
Yeah, well, that's interesting to me because where I came from in Michigan, we didn't have community ed.
Yeah,
it was all Parks and Rec. And then here it's kind of a mix.
Yes.
And it's interesting, like what responsibilities lie where and everything. But my Park and Rec start actually was by accident.
Yeah.
I had a boss at City Hall in Ypsilanti. I was actually just doing the website for the city. My co-op for my degree was in website design. And it was funny because I got assigned to the Parks and Recreation director. She was my boss somehow, which makes no sense, but whatever. And it worked. And I ended up helping out in other aspects of Parks and Rec with their programmers there. And it was just so much fun. I was like, I really want to do this. And my degree was communication technology, not recreation. And I ended up going back and getting my master's years later. But she was my inspiration. Like she just did it all. Like Ypsilanti had like no money. And they barely had enough to program, and they had a outdoor pool, they had a community center, they had a farmer's market, and they made it all work somehow, and it was amazing. But yeah, she just kind of guided people.
Yes.
And I just, when someone's like that, it's just kind of special, and you feel lucky that you have them,
Yes. Well, I think that's, like Jeremy said, different jobs every 6 months. Mine isn't quite 6 months. It's more like 9 and 3. But that's a big part of why Park and Rec is so appealing. Like you just got done saying, you get to do it all. You get to dabble. You get to work with people. You maybe get to work. Even I've learned a lot of maintenance things that I didn't really want to know.
Right.
You get to learn budgeting. You get to learn some promotions and communications. It's just really a wide range of what you get to do.
Yeah, and at the time I didn't even know it was a degree. Like, how did you say you found out? Somebody mentioned it?
Yeah, the guy that was the pool supervisor one summer when I was a head guard, he had just graduated with recreation management. And that, like you say, I didn't even know about it at that point until talking with him and selecting it that way.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Anything that you guys want to, let the community know about, like, in what you do, as a parks and facility supervisor, you're responsible for a lot. All the parks, the trails, the staff that maintains it, and the facility at Ice Arena, that's big on its own. Is there anything that you think the public doesn't know and is like important to you?
I think that I would have to say that the guys that we've got working, we've got a great staff. They care about the community. They're trying to do a good job. That would be the thing I would say is we're out there. We want things in town to look nice. We want the parks to look nice. We want the rink to look nice, be clean, safe, and provide a space for everybody to recreate.
Yeah, and the Farmington Fix, the link is going to get renewed with our new GIS person, and hopefully that'll expedite any requests that people have. And it's obviously good to know when something's wrong, because you don't know everything.
That's
all
correct,
the time.
and I do appreciate when we get those. There'll be a down tree or a dead tree, or there's garbage here, or whatever it could be. But we definitely appreciate when people fill those out and let us know, because a lot of times we don't know about the issue. So
there's a lot of green space out there to manage. What about you, Missy?
I think for me, the biggest thing is just letting people know we're here. The Rambling River Center is here. It is for adults ages 50 and older. You think 50, I'm too young to use that, but we do. Our membership is $39 for an entire year, and we have a fitness center. So that's a huge benefit to people. You can't only work out during our hours. We're not open 24/7. But if you work from home and you want to walk on a treadmill or lift some weights or ride an elliptical or whatever, for $39 a year, you can't beat it.
No way, because the gym memberships are way more than that.
Yeah. And also, the youth and family programs. We have such a generous community in Farmington. They donate to put on all those free events, 4 concerts, 2 movies, a party in the park. All our local businesses pay for those programs. They support us as sponsors. Come on out and check them out. Say thank you to those businesses. It's fun. Bring your friends and family. For July, we're celebrating with a concert, a regular concert in the park. It's the Panhandlers, which is a steel drum band. And they don't just play reggae music. They play everything from Beatles songs to country western to reggae on their steel drums. So that should be fun. That's free. It's at Rambling River Park at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, July 26th. And then we have Party in the Park on Friday, July 28th. Again, completely free. Come on out. That's at Lake Julia. There's a small parking lot there, and there's some off-street parking. But if you live in the neighborhood, we ask you to ride bike or walk as a family. Kids Dance will be playing early at 7. They're partying themselves. They do lots of kids games and have prizes. We'll have other games and crafts there. Marshall Bus will be out there with some popcorn. And then we're showing Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Okay, so that's a hit for my age bracket. But for those millennials who haven't seen it, it's still a lot of fun.
Right.
Even though they still have, like dial phones and things like that in the movie.
Weird things they'll be like, what is that for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's great to have all that support from all the businesses and be able to put on these fun events.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, because a couple of the communities that I worked at didn't have that much support.
Yeah.
We were basically begging people to help, and you want to offer these free programs and events for the community, because then it includes everyone. Everyone can come, everyone can enjoy it, but everything costs money, and you got to find funding somehow. Well, I guess that will wrap up this section of our Parks and Rec month, unless you guys have anything else you want to say. Thank you so much for coming, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Now we're back for the second round of Parks and Recreation staff with Emilee Shearer, who's been with the department for 11 years, and Kellee Omelette, who's been in recreation for 30 plus years. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Corinne.
Thank you.
Let's get started with the theme of Parks and Recreation Month is how our community grows. How do you guys feel that Farmington helps our community grow?
Well, how I think the Parks and Recreation Department helps our community grow is we offer quality parks, facilities, and programs for all to enjoy. From toddler to 100 and some, we have something for everyone, whether it's a program or use of the Rambling River Center, which is our senior center, or a park. So we have spaces and programs to make community happen.
And for me personally, I think it's just keeping traditions alive. Things like the Do Run that's been happening for 42 years, the Halloween Walk that's been happening for 20 or 30 some years. I mean, all of these programs that we've had around for, such a long time, that's kind of this keeps the tradition going, but also implementing new programs as times are changing and, even things like technology advances and all of these things, we are trying to keep up with new and innovative ideas. And so keeping the tradition going, but also, implementing new ideas and
Giving the community what they want.
Exactly.
Need. Yeah, for sure. So what's one of your favorite recreation memories or a program event that you planned or put on that just is near and dear to your heart?
So my favorite recreation memory definitely comes with T-ball. Corinne will also get to look forward to this because she is a T-ball coach. And so,
Oh boy.
Yep, the favorite memory is pie a coach in the face day. It's the last night of T-ball, and we typically end up playing some sort of game or where a kid can earn the opportunity to pie a coach in the face.
So I need to be gone that week.
Yes, exactly.
No breaks for volunteer coaches, Corinne.
And if your daughter wins the game, well, actually hits a ball into a bucket, then you're probably going to have to get pied in the face by her.
Well, unfortunately, I think she's actually kind of good and it could actually happen. But I don't think I want that to happen.
The best memory was quite a few years ago. We had a really good group of staff who were, at that time when I was seasonal, were my friends. And so we just, truly had a blast watching each other get pied in the face. We had just as much fun, if not maybe a little bit more, compared to the kids watching this all happen. And obviously when we got pied in the face, it was funny too, but watching each other was the highlight. And we ended up making the grave error that first year of choosing whipped cream instead of shaving cream. And which we thought it would taste better if we, got in our mouths. But ultimately what ended up happening was by the second session, after sitting, in 85-degree heat, it started to smell like spoiled or rotten milk in our hair, and we tried to clean it out the best we could, but obviously a shower was the ultimate way to get it out. But so we've transitioned to shaving cream, so now we smell clean, rather than like spoiled milk. But maybe it just doesn't taste as good. But it is.
So whose idea was that anyway?
So it was mine originally. Yep.
So now I'm going to be mad at you.
Exactly. Yeah. The funny thing is it was my idea, but once I told all the staff about it, they were like, yes, like, why would we not want to do this? So, and the pictures from it are hilarious. The parents usually get pictures of their kids pieing coaches in the face. It's a really fun night.
Okay, well, I'm just going to advise you next year, you need to put that on the registration form for the coaches that are volunteering. You have to warn them this is going to happen. Okay, because that was not on what I signed. You left that part out.
It's okay.
Okay.
We'll get a good photo of that. You getting pied in the face.
And then it'll be the cover of, next year's summer guide, maybe.
No.
Brochure.
No. I'm in charge of that, so no. Anyway, so what about you, Kelly?
So mine actually is a T-ball as well. So several years ago, I was here as the recreation specialist, and it was the last night of T-ball. And typically the last night of T-ball, we play mini games where the teams play against each other, both in the infield and the outfield. That summer was very hot and dry. In the afternoon, I got a call from a mom who asked if we could water the infield because it was very dusty, and her daughter has cystic fibrosis, and the dust wouldn't allow her to prevent or to play T-ball that night. So I hurried up and got off the phone with her and called the school district, because at that point in time we were using the fields at Aiken Road Elementary School, and I needed to get permission from the school district to be able to put a water truck on their field. And they gave me the green light, so I called Tim, who still works for us today, and asked him if he could load the water truck and go and water the ball field, the infield specifically only, so this daughter could play her final t-ball game. And it was such a cool opportunity and thing. The mom actually sent a thank you into the Pioneer Press and thanked the staff and the department for going above and beyond so her daughter could make that memory of that last night of t-ball and playing that game. And still today that, gives me goosebumps. That's why we're here, for everybody to be able to participate, no matter what their ability or disability is. We're here for everyone. So it was a really cool memory.
Yeah, awesome. But forgive me, what's Pioneer Press?
Pioneer Press is the newspaper out of St. Paul.
Oh, okay.
So it would usually cover Farmington area.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do those thank yous in the newspaper, because now everything's pretty much online, but at that time they did, and we actually got the newspaper delivered here, so
cool.
was able to see it.
Yeah, that's a nice little thing you can laminate for your wall.
Yep.
I actually have a similar story to yours, because I did work in recreation for a while, and I worked at a community center, and there's a gentleman who would come in every day with his wife, and they'd swim in the pool or work out or whatever, and he's always wearing his Detroit Tigers hat, which, sorry, Twins fans, but I'm from Michigan, so they're my team. But I got the opportunity to put together a senior trip to see the Tigers at Comerica Park. And I decided to ask this gentleman, because we'd see him every day. I'm like, hey, you want to go on this trip I'm running? And he was like, oh, no, I have a hard time walking. I can't get around. There's no way I can go there. And I was like, well, I bet I could help you out. Our bus will drop you off right at the entrance. I'm sure we can get you wheelchair assistance right when we get in. And anything you want to buy, food or drink wise, I will go get it for you. I will be your helper that day. And he was like, well, let me think about it. So he talked to his wife, and of course they decided to go. And I don't know if it was his first game ever, first game at Comerica, or first game in a really long time, but the smile on his face was amazing, because he got to see this game that, most of everybody else would go to, no big deal. And it was a huge deal for him. And it was such a cool memory for me.
Yeah, it's well worth it for the person who's able to help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he get to see a Tigers win that day?
Yes.
Even better.
Yeah.
Nice work.
And at that time, they weren't very good.
Nice work.
Nice work, Corinne. However you pulled that off.
I mean, I just hoped and prayed that they did. I don't know, because they were bad, I think, that year. Really bad. AL Central's a poor division anyway, but
Usually.
unfortunately for both of us.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, I think recreation really gives those opportunities to people, and I think that's what's important as part of your community, and looping it back to community growing, that's how your community grows. I think you said it before, Kelly, people don't move to areas because they have nice roads or...
Right. They move for a nice trail system, nice parks, quality programs, and
community.
And community.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about who's inspired you most in your career. So who wants to take that one first?
I can go first. So like I mentioned earlier, I was here from 2000 to 2013 as the recreation specialist, and I was hired by Jim Bell. Jim Bell was the city's first Parks and Recreation director, so I was fortunate enough to work for Jim. Great guy, learned a lot from him. And then he retired in 2002, and Randy Disted was hired as the second Parks and Recreation director, and got to work for Randy for more than 10 years and just learned so much from him as well. Fortunate to be able to work for both Randy and Jim, and they're just both awesome guys, and I still see them today.
Well, yeah, Jim was at the park, at the Music in the Park, and I met him.
Yep, you did. Yep. So they're still in the community, and the great thing is that they're both still around here, and if I have questions, I can call, email, go have coffee with them, and I have definitely called them and asked them history or what they know about stuff. So fortunate enough to work for both of those guys.
Yeah, and both of them have parks named after them.
They do.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Next for you, Kelly Omelet Park, or just Omelet Park?
Omelet. It'd be Omelet.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows?
Or I guess, yeah, because Jim Bell is Jim Bell Park.
Yeah.
Reserve.
So it could be either
Just
one.
It's
Disted
just
Park.
Disted.
Yes,
Yeah.
Disted Park and Greenway. I'm not too worried about that. I'm just going to do the best I can every day.
I'll be waiting to talk about that on the future Farmington feed. So
You're going to be here that long?
maybe.
Like decades still, maybe?
I mean, come on. You've been working in recreation a decent amount of years.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll retire before I will.
Hopefully. Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm hanging around for another 70.
Yeah. I'll be here for another 70 years.
All right. What about you, Em?
I mean, so this may sound like I'm maybe sucking up or having a little bit of brown noser or whatever, but honestly, the two people I've looked up to the most was Kellee and Missie Colbeck, who again just was interviewed. They have watched me grow up. I have been working that for them since I was 15. And so they saw me, even as maybe, I wouldn't say I was ever shy, but just maybe a little bit more reserved kind of 15-year-old, because you still are kind of new in this position, to, growing into being a seasonal supervisor and growing into just more responsibilities and taking on more responsibility and things of that nature. And so not only have they watched me grow up, but just to be able to keep having those comfortable conversations with them for years and years, it's just been amazing. And kind of like Kellee said with both Jim Bell and Randy Disted, is that I can go to either one of them for basically anything and seek advice and things of that nature. So those are the two for sure.
Yeah, and they're helping you grow in your career, right?
Exactly.
Because you didn't start out planning on being in rec, did you?
No, I did not. I actually went down to Arizona for 5 years to get my PhD in communication studies. And when I moved back up here, at that time, I was like, I just need a job for a couple months. Because, in that weird transition period where I was like, I know I want to move back to Minnesota, but I don't have a job lined up yet. And so I was like, I'll just, work back seasonally for a couple months until I figure out what's my next step in life. And then the job opened up and just decided to go for it. And it was, I would say, I don't know.
Surreal.
Just everything fit into place.
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably one of, another cool recreation memory for me was, I offered Emilee the job as a 15-year-old as a recreation assistant. And then almost 15 years later, got to offer her a full-time position with the department as a recreation supervisor. Not many people probably can do that. And we were super lucky to have that opportunity and for Emilee to come home.
Yeah, that's for sure awesome. Yeah, I went back home for a little bit too, because I used to work at a community center and left and moved around. And my former coworker, he became the director where I was at, and he called me and was like, hey, you want to come back to Michigan? How about you come back and work here? And I was like, okay, cool. As long as you let me start my volleyball league I've been wanting to do. Because for years I was like, we got to have a youth volleyball because youth basketball was number one ever, everywhere. And I was like, nope, you gotta make it fair. Like bring volleyball. And finally gave in because he was a basketball guy. But he learned so much about volleyball, and he got to help me start that league there. And the first year we had probably 10 teams.
Oh, wow.
So we had ages 6 to 12, and then we had 2 divisions, and then we grew that the next year, except for COVID happened, or we would have had, at least 15 teams.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, but we didn't get to run it.
Right.
And now he's running that league in Michigan. So
hey, yeah,
he's continued
And volleyball has exploded for boys and males, so that's really cool.
Out here for sure. Not in Michigan, unfortunately, yet, but here, it's a new high school sport too.
Yep.
I mean, I love volleyball.
I think it's great.
That's great. Yeah.
All right, next, we want to talk about the importance of parks and recreation in your daily life. I know why mine is. I volleyball. I love my softball. My kids every day playing sports. And for us, that's sports, but that's not everybody's. Some other people, it might be just going to a park, using the trails, that sort of thing.
Taking an art class or...
Taking an art class, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You want to give me your take on that?
Yeah, so... Prior to moving back to Minnesota, like I said, I was gone for 5 years in Arizona. During that time when I was in Arizona, I had realized the tremendous lack of especially shaded trails within the Phoenix metropolitan area. There's shaded trails in Sedona and for sure Flagstaff, but that's an hour and a half north at the least. Flagstaff's even further. So that's just, unattainable to drive there weekly. The main thing for me was that while there's great hiking in Phoenix, there wasn't grass really anywhere. I mean, it's a desert. There wasn't really great playgrounds or parks. Again, there was lack of shaded trails. There was just a huge gap that I felt in their parks and trail system specifically. And again, you don't even get, shade from clouds, basically. It's pure sun. Even in the winter, when it's 75 degrees or 80, that sun beating on you, it gets real hot real quick. And so the thing I really ended up figuring out that I took for granted while living in Minnesota for the first 24 years of my life was that there was no access to, any kind of park and trail. Again, really just took it for granted during that time that I lived here. And so it took a mental and physical toll on, I would say, my body and things of that nature. And so when we've even moved back, I moved back with my boyfriend, and he bought a kite to fly in the parks because he thought it was such a cool thing that there was,
Because he's from Arizona.
Yes, he's from Arizona, and that there was access to places like parks that, you could actually play around with, and it's not so hot. And so he really lacked that growing up. And so I think it's just, again, that this whole Minnesota in general, not just even in Farmington, but the parks and trail systems that we have here are amazing, and something that I will personally never take for granted again.
Oh, for sure. Like when I first moved here, like it was like, what park can we go to today? How many parks are we going to go to today? Because I was home with my 5-year-old and she didn't need to stay inside all day. So, I mean, we visited 4 parks in one day, and that was just in Lakeville, and we didn't even get past that. And there's so much more to explore.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and I think I've heard a stat once that the Minneapolis metropolitan area, so the Twin Cities, is one of the more active cities or community areas in America, which is funny because with all the snow, you think it would be way less active.
Right.
But instead, it's much more active, probably because, we realize half the year it's quite cold. So I don't know. It's a special place to be.
Oh, for sure. I saw so many more people outside the minute it got warm.
Yes.
It was just like there was people everywhere at parks, on trails, on their bikes and everything.
Yeah.
I'm an avid cyclist, so for me, it's the connectivity of trails. Not only within Farmington, but if I want to ride my bike up to Apple Valley or Rosemount or over to Lakeville, I can do that, and pretty easily. And everybody needs an opportunity for some sort of recreation in their life, whether it's a program like Emilee mentioned, or a park, or trails to walk, roll, stroll, bike, whatever it may be. There's got to be something for everybody for that physical and mental health.
Yeah, and just getting outside.
Yep.
Getting outside is so good for
Yes.
your mental health.
Yep.
Yes.
And getting out of your chair when you work in an office.
Exactly.
And like, I've been trying to do, listen to my reminder on my watch to get up, but it's so hard sometimes when you're in the middle of a project. You're just like, I want to finish this, I'm not going to get up yet, but you should.
Yep.
Because I know like my step count is way down.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and we're trying to offer new and, like I said, innovative programs. So things like Muddy Water Studios, the way we partner with them.
Yeah.
I know your daughter likes to sign up for the ceramics classes.
Of course.
So it's trying to get, even if it's not physical exercise, if someone's mental health is, benefited from doing a ceramics class,
I'm sure.
there are
Yeah.
things like that we try to offer as well. So
How about the geocaching program? I mean, that would get you and your family directly into the Farmington parks.
Yeah. We have a geocaching program that we partner with the Farmington Library, and gets you out to 25 of our 26 parks.
That's a lot.
We've almost got all of them. And so from there, what you do is you have to find essentially a little container in the park, gives you the direct coordinates to that container and kind of a clue or hint along the way in case you can't find it. And so through that process, you try to eventually find these little containers in each park. And there's kind of a little, or like a stamp or pen or pencil or whatever in these containers that you can write where you found the container. And then from there, the library will take the registrations, things of that nature. They'll also hand you out the booklet when you first go to get signed up. And so from there, then you can collect prizes along the way. I think there's 3 prizes. If you find 5 parks, and then find 10 parks, and then maybe the grand prize, if I'm remembering correctly.
Got to get all the parks probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the grand
Because
prize.
the grand prize is bigger and better.
That is a fantastic way to get to all the parks.
Right?
Maybe that's
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
my next thing should be with my family. Although, do you need to be good at like directions to geocache? Because I'm one of those people that is very bad with directions.
We give the exact coordinates.
Okay.
And then from there, it's like a hint. So I can't come up with a hint at the top of my head, but something along like it's a rhyming hint of like, oh, near water, but don't go to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you good with tech?
I can handle my
Then
own.
if you can do GPS,
Yes.
you'll be
Oh.
be money.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you just have to type it basically into your map.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
It is easy. I was thinking like I'd have to like look at it like I don't know. Like
No,
a
not a
old school-
physical map.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Your map on your phone works. That's what we essentially
Oh.
look for.
Okay. Well, that sounds fun. We'll
Yes.
check that out.
Yeah, so if you visit the Farmington Library, they'll take the kind of registrations and hand out the booklets to get you started.
Awesome. So I guess we should wrap up here pretty soon, but is there anything else you would like the public to know about Parks and Recreation Month, like anything that they, have ideas for or anything like that? We could
Absolutely. If you have questions, comments, concerns, program ideas, call us. Let's talk. Staff is always looking for new programs to implement, to try out, to partner with. We're here. Please reach out to us. Or if you have an idea for a park, or you have a question about a park or a facility, please just reach out to us and let's talk.
Anything else, Em?
No, I think we should be good.
All right. Well, yeah, I want to thank you guys for being here today. And of course, Missie and Jeremy and our previous section too. They shared a few upcoming city events, and I know a few of them were parks related. It was the movie in the park and party in the park.
Music
with
in the
kids
park.
dance and then
Yep.
music in the park. What else can we wrap up that weekend with? I mean,
Now we got a lot that week.
Yes.
your normal puppet wagons on Fridays is still going
yep.
on.
Yep.
What else? Story time in the
I believe that's
park.
still going on. Yes.
So many free programs going on
Yes.
Yep.
just for the community. Well, that concludes this month's episode of Farmington Feed. Thank you for listening. We look forward to connecting with residents with this podcast. If you have any feedback, guest requests, or ideas, email me at communications@farmingtonmn.gov. Don't forget to subscribe to Farmington Feed wherever you like to get your podcasts.